I got kicked out the White House, tail between my legs. Flew into London with just my hugs and address. Billions spent and million lives lost. Keep it coming, yeah, feather my nest. Got a phone full of secrets and trouble to spare. Red tape and chaos, I'm a billionaire. All that glitter ain't gold, so they said, but my pockets are heavy, my conscience is dead. Feather my nest, oh feather my dreams. I'm living high while the world screams. Counting pence, come dance with me. Riches growing from my money tree. Feather my nest, oh feather my dreams. I'm living high while the world screams. Counting pence, come dance with me. The riches growing from my money tree. Met the queen, but she knew my game. Shook her hand while I fought the shame. Big band shining like a guilt-filled bell, but I'm here now, so what the hell? London nights and the city's bright lights. Dirty deals hidden from sight. I smile wide while the world falls down. Build my empire up in this town. Feather my nest, oh feather my dreams. I'm living high while the world screams. Counting pence, come dance with me. Riches growing from my money tree. She knew my game. Shook her hand while I fought the shame. Big band shining like a guilt-filled bell, but I'm here now, so what the hell? London nights and the city's bright lights. Dirty deals hidden from sight. I smile wide while the world falls down. Build my empire up in this town. Feather my nest, oh feather my dreams. I'm living high while the world screams. Pounding pence, come dance with me. Riches growing from my money tree.
It's Friday night and we're all in!
Welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars. Crashing in my car, wake up in a bar. I'll be a superstar, just on my avatar. This world is so bizarre, empty out the reservoir. Yeah, I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? Sometimes you need to let loose, grab juice, get goose, tattoos, taboos, get screwed. Loosen up, buttercup, all those hate comments will never make you feel enough. We're all adequate graduates, heart full of calluses, but we know calculus. Damn, ain't that fabulous? Can't wait to apply all those mathematicus. But we can't get a job that pays us enough. I'm about to pop off. Fuck you, you're lost. We all know that we never really want a boss. So I'ma do what I want to, something I can't undo. Yeah, I'ma do what I want to, something I can't undo. I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me? I'm taking 6 shots, yeah, straight to the face. And I wanna get lost, I'm sick of this place. Don't know how to stop when I'm feeling this way. So I'm taking 6 shots till I'm feeling okay. I think I'm going crazy, don't think I'll get home safe. So I'm taking 6 shots, all straight to the face. I'm taking 6 shots, are you coming with me?
Hey, 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 it's me. 'Tis I, and I alone tonight. So, I can only apologise for what may or may not occur. We don't have Ed's wit and repartee to guide us this evening, but we'll do our best and see what we can do. I don't even have any slides. Ed has decided to go and visit his brother in the Big Smoke, I believe, so take care. All the best, Ed. All the best, mate. You've missed already. Sorely missed. And with that, welcome to the troll room, Brit, mate. Vaughn, Julie, Sophie. Nice to see you, Sophie. A new one. Well, not a new one, but an old one. Well, not. I don't know how old. See, I'm starting already. I'm putting my foot in it. So good to see you, Sophie. Rabbit Leader 2030. That's a cool name. That's a cool name. I don't know who that is, but it's cool. And Yorkshire Lad. Hey up, Yorkshire Lad. That's cool. Yorkshire Lad, is that James? I don't know who it is. It could be anyone. Just let me put something in the other chat. Because we are broadcasting again, I believe, on both streams. So we'll just see how that goes. Right. So good evening. Good evening all. What a week. You just don't know whether you're coming or going, do you? I mean, really, no sooner had we had Friday night when we were pretty much thinking it was all over for Zelensky, and it was. And then he turns up and goes to the EU, and, you know, they are fawning over him. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it's like. It's as if John Travolta walked into a disco, you know? It's just like, the analogy's bad. What can I say? What can I actually say? But anyway, I've got my shelf lit a bit better tonight, I think. So you can start to see things, and there's extra things up there as well. There's Bigfoot Teddy, he's out the van, and the little Star Wars bobblehead. And my little light, you know, little light in the corner. Up there. A little lantern flickering away. I like that. Right. Apart from that, where shall we start? So Trump is playing hardball. He really is. Because he's gone in hard against, well, right, so he's done something that I think is quite interesting. And you can tell me if I'm wrong, because I do listen to you guys. But I think he's done something that's quite interesting. He's opened negotiations with Hamas, apparently. And the White House have admitted that there's a back channel, and they have been negotiating with Hamas. Now, if he's not done that, and it doesn't appear that Netanyahu knows about this, because Netanyahu, as you know, or Netanyahu, as Hamza would call him, Netanyahu turned off the aid to Gaza, didn't he? He turned off everything bar water, I believe. And then Trump sent him a note saying, he got one of his lackeys to send a note saying, back it off a bit, will you? Ramadan's just started and you've turned off food supplies and medical aid and all that. So his lackey sent him a note saying, knock it on the head, play the, can't say that phrase, play the, play the smart man's game. So he says, knock it on the head, wind it back a little bit. So what does Netanyahu do the next day? He cuts the electricity, which effectively cuts the water, because you're not running desalination plants and you're not running pumps without electricity. So Trump tells them to back it off, and Netanyahu doubles down. So then Trump lets out that they're having negotiations with Hamas. And it's like, that's something a president wouldn't normally do. Because no matter how you look at it, the lobby that Netanyahu's got in Washington is very powerful. Very powerful. You've got to accept that. And American politics is tainted by it and always has been since the inception of Netanyahu's country. And then really, in some terms, you're not quite sure who's wagging the dog. Is it the tail or is it the dog? Because you're never sure if it's Netanyahu and his lobby that's making American foreign policy, or if it's America that's making American foreign policy. And these questions have been asked by better men than me. I think Mr. Putin himself has actually asked Trump who's in charge. Because we'll get to this in a minute, because I don't think Putin's too impressed either. And so Trump has now, after saying he's in negotiation with Hamas, he's now told them to get the hostages back by Saturday or else. Now, this is like deja vu, people, because he said this the week before. And Saturday came and went, and no hostages appeared, and nothing happened. So I don't know what's going on in the Middle East. I actually don't know who's in charge now. Because there's a lot to be said that the deep state in American politics does exist. The deep state exists in any political system to a degree, because you've got to remember, most of the people that run the political systems don't change. The political figureheads do, but the civil servants and bureaucrats behind the scenes, most of them remain. Now, I don't know if you could say that with Doge ripping through the federal government and getting rid of people left, right and centre in this administration. But generally, the figureheads will all change. But, look, an FBI agent's an FBI agent. It doesn't change when the politics change. The cops don't all change when the politics change. And the civil servants, the people writing the reports and giving the advice, except for the very high level, none of them change. And the same thing happens here. None of our civil servants change when the governments change. So really, who's setting the policy and who's running the country? And does the civil service just adapt to the current mood? Because let's face it, as we know, aims of government are all the same: control the population, feather their own nest. So that's what happens. I think the civil service and the administrations just bend to the will of what other political masters are in charge. And to be fair, they don't change that much. On a grand scale of things, they'll go like this, left a little bit, right a little bit. It won't be a big thing. But Trump seems to be out of band. He seems to have gone quite far one way, because he's directly threatening Hamas now, which really you would expect Netanyahu to do. So that's one side of things. Then, of course, he kicked Zelensky out the White House last week, as you know. And you know what? I don't think it was a setup. I think the problem with Zelensky, let's call him Zelensky. The problem with Zelensky is he went into Washington, he flew in early, and he had meetings with all the Democrats, all his former pals, who bigged him up again, and maybe gave him ideas above his station. It says, you can go in, you can dominate this guy, He'll be on TV, so it's a public press conference, so he won't say anything that's going to harm his ratings. Well, guess what? How did that work out for you, Zelensky? So it didn't. So Zelensky ran off with his tail between his legs, thinking, what am I going to do now? And ran to Big Daddy Starmer, who gave him a hug and brought him in. and then decided he was going to be the big guy in Europe. Called an emergency meeting of all the heads of the European states, got them all in London, everybody's eating pie, whatever, and then it all starts to fall apart because, we Giorgio Meloni goes, no, you're not putting my troops in Italy, no way. And then Hungary, Slovakia, some of the other countries around, Poland, all say, nope, not using NATO, not putting our troops in Ukraine, and you're not using our territory to stage anything. So is NATO falling apart? Is Europe falling? Yes. NATO's been falling apart since it was conceived, but it's proceeding along nicely now. And Europe is falling apart as well, because regardless of what you think and what you're told by the mainstream media and the people, the heads of state, Europeans are really quite nationalistic. They're not a fan of Brussels. Well, it's France especially, but the dealings I've had, and I did do a lot of talking when I was touring around Europe. None of them are particularly enhanced with Brussels, unless you're in Brussels. So I think so. To get back to the point, so Trump is still doubling down, cut all aid to Ukraine, even turned planes back, and now they're blaming him on the stuff that got through. With, let's face it, the stuff that was being sent was never going to be in position and ready to defend them against stuff that got sent the other night, So that's just nonsense. That's just propaganda. But he turned planes back that were on their way. So that shows some intent. And then, of course, Europe decides that's going to be the big boys, and von der Leyen, she says you can have 800 billion, to rearm Europe. But then you read the small print and you're not getting 800 billion. You're being loaned it. He is just a freaking money-making scheme. It's a laundering money-making scheme for unelected crims. That's what it is. I'll say it. They're all freaking criminals. It is Espresso Mechanic TV. You're right. It's all theatre. All theatre. 3 times a day theatre, Right. So that's where we are. I think that's where we are with Trump. And, well, no, we didn't mention Big Vlad, did we? Because Big Vlad, Trump's not happy because Big Vlad had a tower block. With the best will in the world, shit happens, right? So you're going to get some collateral damage. And I'll be honest, I think Russia's done an incredible job of not killing more civilians. And that doesn't mean I'm a Putin sympathizer or think he's doing a great job. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is Russia have been kind of, hitting this with kid gloves for a war. So my personal view, I don't think we've not really seen the full weight of the bear, the might of the paw. But I may be wrong. So, right, where are we now? Jedi's in there. Vaughn, the Special Mechanic TV. What else is happening? Anything else? Fluffy Columbus. One thing I found out today from someone in Croatia. They had a Russian missile go off near Zagreb last year. Had wrong coordinates. Yeah, Russia could hit anywhere in Europe. No problem. No such thing as a free lunch. You are right. There is no such thing as a free lunch. So we'll just have to sit back and see what happens. But I'm hoping we can avoid World War III. I really am. Europe are doing their best to throw us into some kind of war, and I don't understand their intention. And Macaroon, he turns around and goes, can have my nukes as a nuclear deterrent for Europe. Yeah, oh, gee, thanks, Macaroon. That really helps things. Your 300-kilometer range cruise missiles, which wouldn't even reach Russia from France, and your 4 ballistic missile submarines, whoopie-doo. One of them will be at sea at any one point. That's 3 you can't use. What does that give you? 48 missiles in the water? They're probably the only ones that are any good, you know? Yeah, no, the USA doesn't want war with Europe. Nobody wants war with Europe. Nobody's under threat. This is the thing. And you see this every day, especially from these clowns like Ed Davey and Lammy and all that, you know, we are under threat from Russia's 1,500 miles away from us. Oh, okay, it's 600 miles if you go to the border with Norway, but let's face it, nobody's coming at us through Norway. You're not driving a tank over the border into Norway and then down Norway and then across the North Sea. No, nobody's coming at us through Norway. So Russia is 1,500 miles away from us. We're under no threat from Russia. Nobody's under any threat from Russia. Putin doesn't even want the eastern half, the western half of Ukraine because it's full of Ukrainians. Or actually, to be fair, it's full of what? Romanians, Slovaks, Hungarians, and Polish. Because Ukraine really didn't exist as a country before, despite what they tell you. Right. Who's being overrun by immigrants from Asia, Fluffy? We need to know. Inquiring minds need to know. Right, let's see. Do any of you guys ever watch Judge Napolitano? Judging Freedom. He had got some good guys on that, who are ex-CIA, and Colonel McGregor's on it and things like that. They come on there quite a lot. He's in Moscow right now, and he says, "Holy Toledo, I didn't realise Moscow was like this. 1, it's clean. 2, it's pretty much homogenous. 3, he said, the old stuff is impressive, but the new stuff looks like something out of Dubai. He said, I've never seen anywhere so advanced. And he said they've been there 48 hours and they've seen 2 police cars. So, not a big crime problem. He says there's no police standing about in corners and things like that, like you have in New York City. He's just astounded. He's just astounded at how clean it is, how orderly, how nice everything is. And that's him under sanctions as well. Imagine that. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my bookmarks on that's how I kind of make the slides anyway. So we'll just go through the bookmarks on Twitter. On my and you may, if you follow me on Twitter at Ecolator, you will notice I no longer have a blue check mark because as I am a man of my word, I said I was not going to pay to be treated like that, Elon Musk, and I am not. I cancelled my subscription. So stuff you. It's not acceptable to treat customers like that and to not come back to them at all. So, fuck you. You might be the richest man in the world, but you're not exactly the smartest. Right. So this is quite good. Top 10 countries in Europe where most people trust what the media is telling them. And I am pleased to say that the UK's not in the top 10. And running down quickly, we've got Norway, Netherlands, that's half a Ed. Finland, Denmark, Portugal, Estonia, Sweden, Austria, Luxembourg, and Belgium. Luxembourg, all 2 people responded. Right, so there you go. That's a good thing, I think. I like that. So I'm starting at the bottom of my bookmark, so we'll work up. Putting to the US, strike a rare earth minerals deal with Russia rather than Ukraine. Let's face it, if you need minerals, Russia's got them because, remember, this country spans 11 time zones. from Kamchatka over in the far east, which is almost in the near west of America, right across to the border with Norway. Moving on, emergency protest for Ukraine in Times Square. So I think this was because Trump cut the aid, but really, what are these people doing? And you know, if there's so many, when they're all women, why is it always women that are out of these protests? But what are they actually hoping to achieve? You think Trump's going to change his mind? He's working to an agenda, one way or the other. So if he changes his mind, it's because of his plan. It's nothing to do with your protesting. And I don't. And see, this is the problem with protest. If you're allowed to do it, it's not effective protesting, is it? Because you're allowed to do it. I think that's a good one. I remember when I'd come to the US and remind the president of all the dirt I had on his son and leave with a bundle of money. I miss those days. I bet you do, little Alinsky. I bet you do. Right. This was a big table in London. Remember when this was when Starmer called his meeting, and it all looked very impressive and everything, and then they really started to fall apart. I saw this the other day and I thought, this is fantastic. So Caddy, who posted this, goes, "This is the way. Czech citizens raised 2.9 million to buy Ukraine a Black Hawk helicopter." Newsflash, America's not going to sell you anything now. But apart from that, crowdfunding a Black Hawk, the new way to finance wars. And then the next day, somebody puts a thing out saying, why don't we crowdfund the Ukraine war? And I'm like, I did it as a joke. I didn't mean go and do it. That's just incredible, isn't it? I mean, it's just incredible how stupid people can be. I'll buy Ukraine a Black Hawk. They'd just sell it. They really would. We may be witnessing the birth of a new Europe, and we owe it to one man, President Zelensky. He showed the whole world Trump's submission to Putin. I don't think it's Trump submitted to anyone because he's not getting what he wants at the moment. I think he's trying to cut it so he can. But why is Trudeau there? What's he got to do with things? See, he was on telly today crying. Guy's a freak. That was a report earlier in the week of one dead and what appears to be yet more injured in that car attack in Mannheim in Germany. Ran into the crowd. The EU leaders have that's right. They branded themselves the coalition of the willing. That's like ripping off George Bush and Tony Blair, who we must remember lied to the entire world to take us into an illegal war against Iraq. Something that Alistair Campbell seems to have completely forgotten and erased from his memory. Considering he was part of it, you'd think you would remember something like that, being a war criminal. Right, what do you think of this, guys? People have coming out with allegations against the king today. Things like, he secretly they call it reverting. I don't understand how you can revert to one of the world's newest religions when you're already been one of the world's oldest religions. So anyway, but apart from that, I'm not getting into religious fights because I think they're all cults to some degree or another. And if you're religious, that's entirely up to you. Don't let me sway your judgment. Perish the thought. But yeah. So the question is, why is he doing all this stuff about Ramadan and having feasts and meeting all these people and letting them in and have nosh after hours, I guess, at Windsor Castle, and not even mentioning things like Ash Wednesday, which is pretty big in the Christian side of things, I believe. Certainly if you're a Catholic. Catholic spelled K-A-F-F-L-I-K, Catholic. I know about Catholics because my wife is a Catholic, but she's not a practicing Catholic. Right, so yeah, somebody posted saying that they thought he had become a convert to Islam and Prince William. I can't say it, can I? I was going to say it could explain Kate's absence from the public eye for a while. I'm not going to say that. So, what do you think about that? Because I don't. Well, it's not a question. I don't think legally he can't become a Muslim and not stay king. He just can't do it. So if he has, he needs to be removed. It doesn't matter when it happened or where it happened. If it happened in '96, then he should never be. He should never have been king, because he is not allowed to be anything other than a Christian if he wants to be the king of the UK. So there you go. I mean, I think the monarchy's cooked anyway, and Charles doesn't make it any better. But yeah, I can't remember why I bookmarked that one. It's pretty poor. What can you make of this? What can you make of this? Right? Britons were mostly black 5,000 years ago, new studies suggest. How? Because they didn't wash. They weren't black. That's just ridiculous. I mean, let's face it. 5,000 years ago isn't enough time, evolutionary-wise, for anything to happen, right? So, and remember, the whole we walked out of Africa's theory is complete mince. That's been completely discredited, because where did the white people that now inhabit Britain come from? Because they didn't come from Africa, because they don't have no, what do you call it, archaic DNA. So we didn't come out of Africa. People that live in sub-Saharan Africa, some of them have up to 20% archaic DNA still in their bodies. So we didn't come out of Africa. And you know who else didn't come out of Africa? Asians. And I mean proper Asians, like Far East Asians. They didn't come out, not Caucasians, which Indians are dark-skinned Caucasians. They're not Asians. So Indians are dark-skinned Caucasians, and Asians are people with fucking, you can't say anything these days, can you? I'm going to get banned. Am I not? Is that not how what was it? Only Fools and Horses get banned because he spoke about somebody with I can't do it. I just can't do it. I mean, the world's gone freaking nuts. Julie, I thought comedy you were allowed to be exempt from this kind of stuff. But anyway. There's no archaic DNA in Asians either, so they didn't come out of Africa. So where did these mostly black people come from 5,000 years ago? Huh? It's like there was another one. I saw some black woman the other day pulling up some blonde girl, because she had hair braids in. Yeah, okay, black person, were you a Viking? Did you... Vikings were wearing hair braids, 2,000, 3,000 years ago? Well, I don't know how long. 1,000 years ago. You can't make this crap up. People from the Med are not black, Fluffy. They aren't. Romans aren't black. Left-wing theatre managers who invited 200 migrants to a free show are now abandoning the building and face bankruptcy as the refugees still refuse to leave after 3 months and have sparked a wave of sex-related violence within the building. It's just lovely, isn't it? That is just lovely. Oh. So, Fluffy, are you black? That's the question. You say you're from the Med. Are you black? I mean, I'm only asking the questions. That I've never heard of such a thing as Mediterranean race. Never freaking heard of it. I don't think there is a Mediterranean race. I think that's nonsense. Although you'd probably find the Australians would call them things like, I don't think I can say it, but they would call them things like DAGO, right? And the last time I was in Australia, which I'll give you now was 25 years ago, 23 years ago, but the last time I was in Australia, they used to say terms like this on the news. WOGS and DAGOs on the news. We would get away with it here. That's Ukraine stuff. Zelensky saying it's going to be miles away. Italian Prime Minister rejects offers from France and UK to send troops to Ukraine. You can go, but not with my soldiers. No, not taking my guys. The Scottish Green Party now want to ban the red arrows from flying over Scottish lochs. And it's nothing to do with the Scottish people. It's because they may be giving migrants PTSD. You've seen the amount of RAF training that goes on in the Highlands. Yeah, well, don't go and live there. You know, if you don't want PTSD, don't go and live there. I remember when I was doing my driving course, in the police, we were howling down the side of Glencoe. So I'm driving, I'm doing about single carriageway road, one lane in each direction. I'm doing about 120 or something, corners and things, so we went flat out. So I'm doing about 120. I'm flying along, giving my commentary, you know, blah blah blah. To looking ahead, I can see the road bending round to the right, all this kind of nonsense. And then the instructor who's sitting beside me, obviously, then goes, "Oh yeah, yeah." I'm like, what the fuck? Because there's nothing in front of me. Remember, I'm doing 120 miles an hour, and this guy's shouting in my ear. And I looks to my right, no, my left. I looks to my left, and in the valley below us was a buccaneer flying alongside us. It was quite impressive. He was going faster than us, so he obviously overtook us, but it was pretty impressive. It was quite cool. And I think the instructor got a fright when he saw it. I think that's why he had the expletives. They do, Fluffy. They do call them that. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, they want to do this in case people get PTSD. But yeah, that's just nuts, isn't it? Absolutely nuts. That was the news that America halted military aid to Ukraine, which is profoundly worrying, according to Kemi Badenoch. I don't know why. I mean, it just when Trump got elected in 2016, they were worried that he was going to start World War III. And now that he's been elected in 2020, they're worried he's going to cause peace to break out. Am I getting this right? I cannot compute. Oh, Serbian parliament throwing smoke bombs at each other. This is just ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, what do you do with that? Yeah, I tell you what, you better use that. You better take that actual. Could you take that comment down, Fluffy? Just delete it, just in case, because believe it or not, the channel is responsible for the comments as well. It's freaking unbelievable. Right. I would allow it, but you know. Where are we? Oh, hold on, let me see if I can do it. Or Julie can. No, hold on. Julie, do you know how to take out a chat? Ray's done it. Good on you, Ray. I knew there was a reason I promoted you to moderator. Well done, mate. Well done. Excellent. Thank you, Ray. And no offense, Fluffy. I personally have no problem with words like that, but you know what the YouTube's like. There's Kaka. Now we've got to listen to this. Let's see if this works. If we can listen to it, because hold on.
Than Russia is. So if your China is so much bigger economy than Russia is, with so much bigger military than Russia is. So if you're saying that you're not able to beat, that we collectively are not able to really pressure Russia so much that it would have an effect, because then how do you say that you're able to take on China risk? China is...
I think you've answered your own question, Kaka. There's no chance that Europe can take on either Russia or China. I don't know what you guys think, but yeah, she's right. You can't take either on, but she thinks they can. Absolute nut jobs. Bernie Sanders, Americans are embarrassed and ashamed that we have a president that says that Ukraine started a war with Russia. Well, you know, nobody really believes Ukraine as such started a war with Russia. But it wasn't Ukraine that made NATO move further and further east. It wasn't Ukraine that put the Maidan stuff together. It wasn't Ukraine that... You know, there's a lot going on in Ukraine that you really need to look into before you start saying who started what. But it was Ukraine that was attacking its own citizens in the Donbass. That's a matter of public record. And it is Ukraine that banned the Russian language and stopped allowing it to be taught in schools. And I mean, people don't seem to understand. Zelensky couldn't speak Ukrainian before he got elected. He had to learn Ukrainian. He was a native Russian speaker. Are just so stupid. They just don't bother about it, and they just take everything you see in the BBC and take it as read. Insurrection Barbie here says, in Russia last year, about 400 people were arrested for social media. Yeah, that's about right. And how many were arrested in the UK? Well, she says 3,000. It's probably more. And certainly some of those 3,000 are in the jail right now. I think the second comment was all right, Fluffy. Yeah, it's fine. Quite interesting. Do you want to... Let's listen to this, because he's right.
To itself does not have the legitimacy to be framing a foreign policy. We're seeing one, aren't we? Because there was a European summit that took place in Brussels this week. Now, it seemed at that summit that they couldn't really agree very much on what to say about Russia and the situation in South Ossetia. But there is one thing that they all agree on. There's one thing that all the European leaders agree on, and David Cameron agrees with it, and the Lib Dems agree with it. They all agree that the European Union and NATO should continue to expand to the east, and that we should take in the Ukraine and Georgia as members of both organisations. And I think this is one of the most dangerous foreign policy developments that I've seen in my lifetime.
Right, we're going to cut it there, but he's right. He was right, wasn't he? You know, he said that doing that would cause a war, and they kind of had. They kind of did. I think it says it's deleted. I'm pretty sure. Fluffy. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Right. This is tremendous. Have you seen this one, guys?
That was yours. We thought that baggie belonged to Hunter. You know, I think the Secret Service probably still has it somewhere.
I have been stealing the money.
I'm sorry, what's that now?
I must to speak honestly. I steal many of USA dollars to Ukraine, millions. Some dollars for some oligarchs also, some for American bureaucrats also.
Well, we know that, but why are you telling me this?
Because, Mr. Trump, if you end war, we cannot steal any more money. We must continue war.
No, the war must end. Your people are dying, Zelensky. They're dying.
But I want to steal more money. What do you want? Fellatio? I can do it.
No, I don't want fellatio. No.
Are you sure? I did for Biden.
Okay, that is what we call oversharing. Look, there's nothing you have that I want. You're not going to convince me to keep this war going. You don't have the cards.
I not play cards.
No, I know you're not literally playing cards. It's a metaphor. It's like I'm playing 4D chess and you're playing checkers.
No, I not play checkers. There is no checkerboard, you see.
Okay, let's try this. I am in the driver's seat, okay? Do you understand that expression?
No, but we are not in cup.
No, you're right, you're right. We're not in a car. That's true.
Listen, Mr. Trump, I am actor/comedian. I crave attention. Since start of war, I get worshipped by presidents. I'm worshipped by Hollywood. If war ends, no more attention, no more worship. With all due respect, Mr. Trump, this war must last forever.
I tell you what, if you agree to end this war, we will do a remake of Friends. And you can play Ukrainian Chandler Bing. How does that sound?
Oh, I love the Friends. This is favorite show of me. I am such a Monica.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's sign the thing, and then I'll go show you the room where Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky did it.
Oh yes, this is funny because I just say I'm such a Monica. Maybe we will go in room and you can be Bill Clinton and I will be Monica. Yes?
You know what? Forget the room. Let's just sign the document. Does anyone have a pen? Phil? Where's Phil? I need a pen. Somebody give me a damn pen.
I must admit, I thought that was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I must apologise to the vertical stream. I forgot to turn the slides on for you guys. Sorry, hands up. I apologise. Right. Don't worry about it, Fluffy. I've been there before. What's the worst that could happen? They take away the channel. They did that before as well. But since we don't make a lot of money off them, we'll... Right. Percentage of citizens willing to fight for their country. I like this as well. So, for some reason, the Scandinavians really are prepared to fight for, well, not particularly the Scandinavians, but the Finnish in particular, 74%, right? The rest of them, 58, 55. And then the closer you are to Russia, the higher is the percentage. As you move away, when you get to places like Germany, 18%. 18%. That's not even a fifth of the country, which, hey, I can understand that. 29% in France. I'm surprised as many as that. But French are quite patriotic and quite, what would you say, nationalistic. Spanish, 21%. I can't really read, pardon me, Portugal. What's the Irish? 38%. Ireland doesn't even have an army, does it? I don't think Ireland's got an army. Certainly not got a navy. I think Ireland, like, pretends to be in NATO, you know, and throws them like a few billion or something and say, protect me, just like Iceland does. Iceland doesn't have an army either. That's in NATO, and Iceland spends 0.1% of its GDP on defence, i.e. to NATO. How can Iceland be in NATO when it doesn't have an army? Really? All it's got is a coast guard. It's ridiculous. %27% of the UK. We should use those people that are in the kind of halfway status. We should use them to fight for us, shouldn't we? You want to be here so much? Go and prove it. Fighting for us guarantees citizenship. What was that? Starship Troopers? That used to do that. The Newham stabbing. Oh no, that wasn't stabbing. That was the heavy seat. Did you see these guys that flung this seat off a third floor mall? And I mean, that would probably have killed someone if it landed on them. It was just shocking. What are people doing? In Scotland, they'd get done for a more serious crime. I think they've been done for something stupid like vandalism or something, if that. I don't even know if they did them for that. In Scotland, I'd have done them for a willful and reckless act, which is a proper crime. You use common law in Scotland. I did a guy for that. I did a guy. I locked a kid up. Well, I didn't lock him up. I charged him. I locked a school kid up for throwing a hamburger off an overhead bridge at a car. And it wasn't the fact that the hamburger would damage the car or could cause any damage to the people. It was the fact that the driver would see this coming towards him, wouldn't know what it was, and might swerve and then inadvertently cause an accident. And it went to court, and the guy got found guilty for culpable and reckless act. So there you go. Anyway, a huge... I wasn't a complete arsehole all the time, but I just thought that was our order, you know. Anyway, a huge uprising has broken out of the nation's capital demanding the impeachment of President Trump. This is a huge uprising. This is like the SNP protesting outside the BBC with not the SNP, the Free Scotland independence thing. Yes, Scotland. About 6 people turned up. This doesn't look much better considering how big the population of America is. That's ridiculous. We're in Ireland. We're in Ireland as well, Fluffy. Right, moving on. So this is quite interesting because, earlier in the week it was the anniversary of the Skripals poisoning, and there's a couple of things that never added up about that. The Skripals got poisoned but didn't die. And remember, this is the most dangerous nerve gas or nerve toxin known to man. It kills you in seconds, and very, very few people survive it. So that doesn't quite add up. Then there were other people involved as well that got contaminated by Novichok, like the person that handled a candle in one of the shops nearby. So we're coming to that, Ray. We're coming to that, mate. So there's a few other people in fact, some of the other people died because they got contaminated with it. But the Skripals didn't. And, when Russia's doing one of these things like Livchenko, do you remember him when they jabbed him with the polonium? And they made that one with stick, didn't they? But it's just weird. It's weird. Then you've got to bear in mind that there's a military biolab basically in England called Porton Down, which is just down the road from where the Skripals lived, and a couple of miles or something like that. And strangely enough, Porton Down, along with one of the American bases, is one of the only 2 repositories of Novichok outside of Russia. So, just saying. Yeah, wet wipes will stop it, mate. Wet wipes will stop it. Now, this is the one I can't get my head around. So the Canadians already bought all this stuff, but they take it off the shelves in protest of the sanctions. But it's already bought and paid for and on their shelves ready to get sold. Why wouldn't you just sell it and not buy more? It's like do you remember when the whole thing kicked off in 2022 and they took Russian vodkas off the shelves in the supermarket? Stupid. The best one though was in 2020 when you went in to get beer and the beer had all gone because everybody was in lockdown and nobody could get, everybody was buying beer except for Corona. Nobody was buying Corona. People are thick. So the Telegraph, we don't need the top bit, but the Telegraph is coming out with this statement that the NHS should give all over 50 statins. Why? And you've got to be careful here because I don't want to be accused of giving out medical misinformation, but I really don't understand why everybody over 50 would require a statin, because I think if you do the research, a statin cuts the production of cholesterol very high up in the chemical pathway. And it cuts other things out as well at the same time, like coenzyme Q10, which is pretty much needed for long-lasting muscle use. And one of the longer-lasting muscles that you use continually is your heart. Just saying, not medical advice. So, you might want to look at that. Starmer's plan for Ukraine rejected by Europe and the United States. How embarrassing. At one minute he was looking like the saviour, and the next minute he's just another also ran, isn't he? He really is. A government advisor warns UK is heading for civil war. Academic and government advisor warns that the UK will experience a civil war within the next 5 years caused by the destruction of legitimacy brought about by the government's failure to secure the border. He's got a point. People are starting to take things into their own hands, and I'm not saying that's a good thing, but you've got to take the will of the people into account if you're a government, and they don't seem to be doing that. They don't seem to be protecting, British values and British culture. Indeed it is, Ray. Right, I think Novichok might beat VX Gas. I'm not sure though. But yeah, you shouldn't do anything that I say. But moving on. That's just ridiculous. So JD Vance got hassled when he was skiing in Vermont because of his statements he'd made. And there was a lot of upset soldiers in this country because he said a throwaway remark. And it's always throwaway remarks to catch people out. But he used a throwaway remark saying that some country that hadn't fought a year in 40 years or whatever, really shouldn't be in a position to dictate anything to anyone. And I think I'm not sure he was actually talking about the UK. I think he might have been having a dig at France because Macron was mouthing off a lot at that point. But regardless, throwaway remark, people took it the wrong way. A lot of soldiers got upset. And a lot of soldiers still seem to think that when they're fighting for their country and not corporations and bankers. And when that realization hits you, it really does change your worldview, doesn't it? It really does. Yeah, I saw that, Vaughn. The Canadian coffee shop renamed Americano to Canada. I mean, it sounds like a fungal disease, doesn't it? I think you can get a cream for that. Washington has banned Britain from sharing any US military intelligence with Ukraine. It's their intelligence. It's up to them whether they want to do it or not. I understand that I think Starlink's been turned off as well. And some other satellite systems have been turned off at the request of the Washington administration. So there you go. It'd be interesting to see how this pans out, because the UK, Canada, US, New Zealand, and Australia are all members of Five Eyes. So it'd be quite interesting to see what happens here regarding their intelligence sharing. And also information from the Isle of Man Weekly, Isle of Man News, from their local paper. Don't trim your bush unless it's a safety risk. It sounds like sound advice, people. Don't trim your bush unless it's a safety risk. Just don't do it. Hang on to that luxuriant and well presented bush. I'm not sure. Is this real? Well, it was GB News, so I'm assuming it's real, right? So, owning images of Muslim women without their hijab should be a criminal offence, some Labour MPs have proposed. That's nonsense. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. How can that be a criminal offence? That's just ridiculous. That's a two-tier system, and we don't have two-tier policing in this country. We don't have two-tier policing. But to implement things like this would be to give certain members of society more rights than others. Therefore, that's two-tier policing or two-tier justice system. Can't have that. Just can't have it. What's this? Oh, don't worry about that. Done that one. Oh, there's the one I was talking about earlier. Hungary, Slovakia, and Poland will not allow any European troops to use their nation as a front against Israel. All, including Italy, will veto sending EU soldiers to Ukraine. Quite rightly too. Sending EU soldiers to Ukraine is just nuts, because Putin's already quite categorically stated that he'd just treat it as an act of war. And I don't think he's messing, I think we had the opportunity in 2022 in April. The peace pact was signed. Zelensky, the initialed, allowed it to be initialed. It was all set to go. Johnson turns up, whispers shit in his ear. Next thing, 3 years later. 3 years later. It's crazy. A man described by police as a 28-year-old African national has been arrested following a knife attack at a park in Aschenberg in Germany. Seems to be a lot of that going on in Germany at the moment. Quite bad, quite poor. That was a ski resort thing. Oh, did I finish on that? Yeah, so they moved his family because he was getting hassled in Vermont, and somebody said a real man would do such and such. A real man would allow him wouldn't hide his location or something like that. And Vance came back with said, yeah, a real man would post pictures and the location of his kids on the weekend so people can get to them. Yeah, what a plonker. What people are thick. Trudeau. I pissed off Trudeau's the best Trudeau. Yeah, it is literally like getting savaged by a sheep, isn't it? Trudeau's just not, he's not convincing. And then today, he was crying on TV. That was just poor. So poor. Apple have taken the stance of going to court against the UK government, which is a good thing, because the UK government should not be forcing Apple to change their encryption policies, because just to make it easier for them to snoop on us, should the UK government wish to. We do, Fluffy, we do, and we shouldn't. The Rada, which is the Ukrainian parliament, is apparently proposing to register teenagers from the age of 14 for military service. A draft law is being prepared. There you go. Isn't that lovely? There you go, Vaughn. There's your chap changing the Americano to the Candida or whatever it is. Yep, I'm pretty sure. As Julie says, you can get a cream and a pessary for that. Apple takes legal action. Oh, and then people decide that because Elon Musk is trimming down the government by helping them to cut out identified waste and, you know, unnecessary departments and make work, that it's appropriate to set Tesla superchargers on fire. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. And then there's another point. We have a 2-tier education system as well. This person's son goes to C of E primary school. Handful of Muslims go there. It's a majority white Christians. Son says in RE they've been learning more about Ramadan, but the Muslim kids don't do RE. They're allowed to leave the class and play on iPads. Yeah, they don't need the RE because they're in a cult. I think this is an AI generated photograph, but it's pretty cool because apparently the CIA, amongst shredding as much paperwork as it possibly can, are laid off a big stack of the people that they have on probation and hired over the last 2 years, because that just so happened to coincide with their largest amount of DEI hires. So they've just been getting rid of them before Doge comes along and sorts it out for them. This was a bit gruesome, wasn't it? Nearly a dozen American students found dismembered off the side of a Mexican highway. It's pretty grotesque. Now, I think it's a bit of cartel type stuff or something like that, but the whole thing's just, Mexico's just a no-go area for Americans now, isn't it? You really want to stay out of there. People, you know, Elon Musk was a darling of the Green Party, you know, like, 2 years ago, and now Tesla sales have plunged 76% in Germany because, people don't like Musk. It's just ridiculous. This is a new trend they've started in France, leaving their shopping in the high Muslim areas. I thought this was quite poor as well. So, newly discovered fungal species make zombies of cave spiders on the island of Ireland. So scientists have just discovered the new fungus Gubulea attenboroughi on cave spiders in Ireland during the filming of BBC's Winter Watch. Named after Sir David Attenborough, this zombie fungus manipulates spiders to leave their webs and die in exposed spots, allowing the fungus spores to transmit. Right, so you spend your entire life filming the planet and its fauna, and you get a zombie fungus named after you. Cheers for that, says Sir David. There's Ursula, after saying that you can have 800 billion or you can have a loan of 800 billion. These people don't have a clue. They really don't. And, you know, Europe will quickly rearm. What's Europe going to rearm with? It doesn't have any industry. You know, factories are dying. You don't have the industry. People have left. You know, the big companies have relocated to China. Just nuts. Absolutely nuts. What's this? This guy. This is what I was talking about, right? BBC question time.
I'm ex-armed forces, so I'm an armed forces veteran, and I took absolute exception to what J.D. Vance said about our troops and the sacrifices that they made. But I'd also wish to make the point that everything that Donald Trump has done has advantaged Russia. And the quickest way to peace is for Russia to withdraw.
And would you...
Right, okay, Mr. Beaver. If beavers evolved, that's what they'd look like. But anyway, if the quickest way to peace is for Russia to withdraw, what's to stop Ukraine continuing to shell the Russian citizens that live in the Donbass? Because that's one of the reasons that they actually moved in the first place. Trudeau crying on TV. I actually don't know what he cried about. I made sure every single day in this office I put Canadians first. I have people's back. Oh, he's crying about the fact he's lost his job, probably. What's this creepy royal family thing about? What's this? He's not going to start a podcast, is he? Is he going to start a podcast? You got to be kidding. You got to be jerking my chain. And here we go. Elon Musk caught a rocket again. Right, so as I said, this is all very well, but I'm a bit more concerned about the bit that the humans are meant to go in, which keeps rapidly disassembling either in space or on the way back from space. Because the last one just blew up over the Bahamas. It was launched yesterday. Bits of it raining down all over the place. So, is it not about time you actually started putting some engineering into it rather than just cobbling stuff together and then throwing it back up there to see if it works this time? Because as I said, when did I say it yesterday? As I said, Jeff Bezos, you got to give him credit, because although it took a lot longer, his rocket seems to work, and it worked first time. So I think there's two ways of doing things. The other thing is, Chinese are catching up, Elon. They've obviously copied your. They probably hacked your systems, or Grok or whatever, and said, show us the plans to Falcon 9s. Because the Chinese have got an awful lot of very suspiciously cloned-looking rockets of Falcon 9s. And they've even got ones that land on legs, just like your Falcon 9 boosters. Yeah. So, there you go. Yeah, good luck in trying to get this back. The HM Treasury. First 752 million of a 2.2 billion loan to Ukraine has been transferred. You're not going to see that again, mate. Never. So I wouldn't worry about it. And who's going to give them euros? It says the funds will help to bolster Ukrainian military capability. Where are they going to buy the kit? If America's not supplying arms to them, where are they getting the kit? Because I don't think we've got any left. We gave them it all, didn't we? There's Kaka again. He's got an important European announcement. I can't be bothered. Did you know that these weren't real? I didn't know that. I found that out today. I don't even know if I can talk about it. It's like one of those things where, if you deny something, you end up in jail if you live in Austria or Germany. So, because it turns out they were written with ballpoint pens, which is a bit of an oversight, considering they weren't readily available until 1951. So, quite interesting. The Canadian Premier of Manitoba smiles as he signs an order to remove American-made liquor from stores in protest to Trump's tariffs. This order is putting American booze off the liquor shelves. You know, I mean, wow. Canadians are so good at signing things like that. What a joke. I mean, who cares? Really? I can't say much about this either, can I? But I can't see the difference. And call me cynical, but I have no idea what the hell this feminization surgery is meant to have done, because I can't see the difference. I'm sorry. Just can't. Now, Maloney, who on one hand seemed quite sensible by saying, no, you're not taking my troops, now says she has proposed extending NATO's Article 5 to Ukraine without membership of the alliance. This would mean all NATO countries would agree to protect Ukraine in the current fight. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't, Maloney. That's not how it works. Because Article 5 would be invoked if, and the NATO countries would come to your aid if someone attacked you. But this is an ongoing war. You can't start applying these things retrospectively to countries that are already at war. That's not what it's about. If you want to do that, then that's just circumventing the UN, isn't it? That's just like saying, well, we want to go and attack Iraq, so they've got weapons of mass destruction. And the UN goes, okay, you have proven they have weapons of mass destruction, go and attack Iraq, even though it was all a lie. Right? But what she's doing is even worse, because she's saying, we want to go and attack Russia. So Ukraine's now got Article 5 protection. But hold on a minute. They were already involved in the war. You can't do that. It's just she's not even that pretty. I mean, what's she got going for her? Now, I don't know if this is real. Full Turkish invasion of Syria's coast is currently underway to try and crush resistance against occupying forces, including Netanyahu's team. Interesting. Turkey's got a big army. Very big army. But that would be quite interesting if Turkey has moved into Syria, because they could end up fighting. Jesus Christ. Now we've got NATO countries fighting NATO countries. Oh, yeah, okay. Right, okay. Lee, moving on. This guy's really upset. I'm not going to play it, but the gist of it is that Allah's displeased and Palestine's not doing well because of the amount of LGBT people that are supporting Palestine. So, stop supporting Palestine. That's his words. That's our story about the king being a Muslim. British drug dealer faces execution by firing squad in Bali. 32-year-old who was caught with a kilo of ecstasy at an Airbnb in Bali is now set to face firing squad. Well, you know what they say. Faffo right enough, don't they? Apparently the Epstein files, which we have still to see, are now going to be redacted because there's information in there that we can't be allowed to see because of national security. How can that be? How can there be information about people who went to see Epstein related to national security? This is just a cover up, isn't it? You know, we're not going to get to see these files. Just a cover up. So Anonymous have lost the plot. Trump and Musk are planning a coup d'etat in Ukraine to remove Zelensky. Well, maybe they are. But Anonymous seem to have forgot how Zelensky got there in the first place. And Anonymous now seem to be promoting big government. You know, they've just lost the plot altogether. They're not anonymous anymore. They're just pathetic. You got to give Latvia a big. They've got a big heart, haven't they? Latvia does not rule out sending the possibility of sending its 5 people to maintain peace in Ukraine. Yeah. Well, none of these Baltic states are going to rule out the possibility because they hate Russia. Even though most of them have like 20 to 25 to 30% of their citizens are ethnic Russians. Reform UK. What's his name? Rupert Lowe. So that's gone sour quick, didn't it? Because I think Lowe made a comment about Farage, and then they got accused of. So Reform have reported them to the police for threatening violence to the chairman of the Reform. That I can't remember the guy's name, Alibaba or whatever. And they've sent a letter saying that they are suspending the whip from him or removing the whip. So, what the Reform are just shooting themselves in the foot because this guy must be their most popular MP, surely? Yeah? Harold, you're over on the vertical chat. Yeah. Everyone's on the horizontal chat if you want to chat. The vertical people dip in and out. They don't do a lot of chatting though at the moment, but the horizontal feed, if you go back, you'll see one says phone edition, the other one doesn't. Don't take the phone edition. Click on the other one. Yeah, he's back. He's here. I can't avoid that because YouTube won't let you combine chats when you've got 2 streams. Oh, what have I done? I hit the wrong thing. Right, that's right. Oh, and that's us. That's us. We've finished. We've come to the end. Right, okay. Oh, right. So there we go. It's difficult for me. It's different for me when there's not someone to bounce off of. So it's maybe not as free flowing as it would be normally. And it's hard when you're just responding to people that are texting or on chat. So I'm sorry if it's not been as much fun as normal, but we got there in the end. So thank you very much. Thank you for coming along and watching tonight's look at the world in general and what a freaking mess it's in. It is an absolute mess, isn't it? Oh, I still if you haven't seen Fluffy the Highland cow, you really do want to. He is so cute. He's in one of the short videos I made this week. The briefing, I think he's on Wednesdays. The daily news briefing. But yeah, he was quite funny. He escaped from his owners in Connecticut, and he's been loose now for over a month, hiding out in the woods and appearing to people occasionally at the side of the road. With that, I'll say good night to the people in the vertical chat. Bye bye. Thank you. Like, share, subscribe, all that nonsense. Blah blah blah. See you again. And then I shall, I think we'll just play one of the old outros for you guys. Thank you very much. As always, it's been great for you.
That's all we've got time for this evening, so it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Stop playing with my bust!
Good night, everybody.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy.
You're a what?
A pianist!
Mwah! Good night, everybody.
You have been a delightful audience. So, good night. Thank you.
Oh, my bottom hurts.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Kimbab.
Oh, I did love that hamster so. I took it into bed with me every night, you know.
Good night, everybody.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, I think I have to go now. I've been standing here for a very long time. I think the end of the show must have come and gone.
There you go. That's our solar system.
You forgot Uranus.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening. You've been very nice to work to.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.